Okay, so to continue on with this layout, this is where we left it at the end of the first video. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit more rearranging and to show you how that can be done. And then I'm also going to bring in a few pictures and some frames and things to finalize out the layout. One of the things you might note is these last elements that we brought in, we kind of hid that little watering pitcher back there, and that's kind of a key element, I think, to the cluster. And I don't want it hidden so much that we can't see it. So what I'm going to do here is, remember these grass elements were in the front, so I'm going to select the grass and I'm going to lock it, just so that I don't, and I'll lock this one too while I'm at it. Let's lock both of the grass elements. So now we could go in still and select the clusters in the back, like so, and I could select this cluster. Now again, that cluster, I'm just going to leave it where it is, but it's kind of being hidden by this flower. So what I'll do here is I'm going to select that flower, and I want it to move behind the cluster where the water pitcher is in. So I'll select the water pitcher first, then I'll select the flower, and I'm going to tell it that I want to reorder the layer by sending it behind the previous object. Okay, so there, now you can see that the flower is exposing, or has been moved behind, so we can expose more of the water pitcher. All right. So I could do the same thing here with this one if I wanted it to be in front, but I think I'll just mix it around so that, you know, they're half and half that way. It's totally at your discretion as to how you might like your layer order to be. At this point, though, what I want to do is I'm going to bring in a couple of frames that come with the My Little Chickadee set, and we'll move these around over and to put them where I think they're going to look kind of nice on our layout. Let's rotate that one and set it up about like that. And we'll rotate this one around and bring it down into here someplace. Now I don't really want it on the top, that's for sure. I think maybe what I'd like it to be is in front of the cluster but behind the grass. So if I select the cluster and then I select the frame again, I'll go up here and reorder it by telling it that I want it to be in front of the previous object. Now remember, the previous object was the cluster. So there, it now becomes in front of the cluster but behind the grass. All right, so we can blow it up a little bit in size maybe and hide it down in here some way. Something like about maybe like that. All right. And this one, I'm just going to kind of move it over here and leave it in its size where it is, maybe just a slight bit larger, something like that. But I don't want it in front of this frame, I want it behind that frame. So I'm going to select the frame, then I'm going to reselect that frame, and I'm going to tell it, hey, I want you to reorder these to put this behind the previous object, which it just did. All right. Now, I also do not have these shadowed yet. I think that might be a nice thing to do. We'll give these a rather bold shadow so they stand off. We'll give it something like a 3 with maybe 110 or so kind of a density, and I think I'll select this object here, that frame, and I'll go in here and I'm going to give it, I want it to match to the style of the previous as well. So there, now they're both back there behind where we want them to be, and they happen to now have their shadows. So the next thing I would do here is I'll bring in a couple of pictures, because sooner or later we do want to do that, and I'll bring in a couple of photos that I have. I have a couple of my kids when they were younger. And let's see, I think I'll pick that one there. And maybe this one of Sarah sort of hamming it up, which she was pretty good at doing. All right, so they come in. And over here, we'll put this one in that one. And this one happens to be more of a landscape layout, so we'll put it down here in this. Now, I don't want it to be on top, of course. So what I'll do is I will select that frame, then I'll select the picture and I'll tell it, hey, wherever that frame is in the layer order, I want this thing to go behind it. And it just did. It's now still selecting the frame. I don't want to do a frame select. Let's put that back where it came from. But now it is behind. And I think I'll blow this up to get rid of the pumpkin, because you guys, this is a springtime layout, not a fall layout. But anyway, these just happen to be the pictures I have. So we'll set it about like that. Now it's way too big for the frame, of course, so what I can do is under Edit, while it's selected, I'll just go in here and tell it I want it to crop. And I'm going to crop it with a random aspect, okay? So if I set the frame, the outside part of the crop rectangle, so that it is in the frame, that is bigger than the aperture of the frame, but not big enough to exceed the outside of the frame, and tell it OK, it will now crop that down, and it will set the kids to fit in the frame like that. All right? Now in this one, we're going to rotate it around, blow it up some. Again, I have to put it behind this frame, so I'll select that frame. Then I'll reselect this picture and tell it wherever that frame is in the stack order, I want the picture to go behind it. So it now did. There's the frame. I think in order to be able to manipulate that picture, I'll just go ahead and lock this frame. I'll probably do the same over here and lock that picture, and just so I don't inadvertently move it. So now we'll rotate this around and we'll blow her up a little bit so we can get a full fill of that aperture. Something about like that. Again, she's a little too big for the whole picture, or for the whole aperture. So I'll go in here and do a crop of her, and we'll just crop it so that she will fit. Set the crop rectangle about like that. These lines, by the way, that you see on here, I have all my crops set up for rules of 1/3. If you're into photography, you'll understand why that is nice in terms of positioning your focus object at the 1/3 marks of your picture. But for right now, it doesn't matter because I'm just cropping these out to fit. But anyway, I tell that OK, and we say, OK, fine, Sarah now fits in there very nicely. So there's our layout. Now we might want to round this out by just adding a text box, which we can do simply just by clicking. Let me show you how I did that. Up here under Add, there's a item here that allows you to add a text box. All right, so we'll click the text box, and in this area is where you add the text that you want to display. So I'll type in something like this: on the 8th day, God created springtime. And we'll say add that just for children. Now, I don't exactly know what size I want this to be. I'll make it about a 60 to start with. And I have a nice little font here selected. It's Edwardian, which always looks good. So we can move this around to somewhere like that. That might not quite fit there. Let's move it until it does. Say about like so. That'd be good, kind of good. Do you think? Something like that. And then when we got that in place, we'll just go ahead and tell it, we'll go ahead and tell it that we want it to fit there. About like that. How's that? So now we might also want to color that. Let's pick a color of a variation, a darker variation of where we were with that tan in the background there. There. So now, just like that, we've completed our layout. And you can see that it didn't take very long, and it was a pretty quick layout and very nice arrangement of clusters, design elements, papers, and photos that we made in ScrapPage in just a few moments. So that's pretty much the way the program works. And I hope you enjoy this video to show the demonstration of the program. And until the next time when I make another one of these for you, this is Dave with Media Digitronics. Goodbye.